All right, welcome back to another CAD lesson, guys. Today I'm going to go show you guys how to make a part, but more than that, I'm going to show you kind of some of the methodologies that I go about when I make parts and kind of where I choose to start, what I consider, and a little bit of the methodology to my madness, because there is definitely a fair bit of madness involved, but I'd like to think that there's a reason why I do some of the things I do, and I want to share that with you guys. So that way you guys can make parts, you guys can make parts accurately, and most importantly, you guys can make parts consistently. Because at the end of the day, being consistent is what's really important. Because that's going to be what makes it hard to screw up making parts. All right, so without further ado, here is the part that we're making. Alrighty, so let me make myself a little bit bigger here. All right, so here I got it on my my step-in tool here. Let me move my SolidWorks window just a little bit farther over. I see a lot of you guys in class, you guys are using like your phones to look at part prints and stuff, and honestly, I wouldn't recommend just because you guys are gonna lose. You guys, it's harder to see the finer details when that part's really small on your phones. I would look on it. I would look at your prints on either a tablet or your laptop or something, or even pull it up on the school computer. All right, so without further ado, let's go and open up a new part file. All right, so I'm gonna blow up this print a little bit just because we're gonna first try to kind of figure out where to start on this thing. So first and foremost, I like to put the origin in the middle of my part. It will make your life easier later. There's very few occasions where it's useful to not have the origin in the middle of the part. So rule of thumb, put it in the middle of your part. What I'm thinking of is I'm thinking kind of putting the origin like right here on this view and right here on this view, right? Because that's kind of in the middle enough. Middle is subjective, right? Kind of depends on where it fits in the assembly. In this case, we really don't know. Um, Another thing I'm seeing here is there's a lot of these lines right here. They're called hidden lines. Basically, they're edges of the part that are projected through the part and into the view. Personally, not a huge fan of them, not my artistic choice, but they are legal. They follow ANSI standards and whatnot. But personally, when I do the drawing, I probably won't do that. Um, I'm seeing the part appears to be symmetrical. We have some asymmetry with the dimensioning right here, but we'll kind of get into that later. So I'm thinking I'll either do a lot of mid-plane extrudes or I'll go ahead and mirror some features, probably a combination of both, because it's gonna take a few features to get this thing going. But that's kind of the thoughts that I go through as I'm looking at this part, trying to figure out how I go about making it. It's kind of where to put the origin and what feature do I want to start with? What's like the biggest feature here, or like the most kind of important feature? And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what feature you start with, because there's a million different ways to make this part. I'm just kind of trying to let you guys in on how I choose to make parts. So I think I'm gonna start with this kind of plate thing over here, and then I think I'll do this kind of face right here. I'll extrude that out, and then I'll probably extrude these little donut things, make these cuts, make this cut, and then do like this extrude. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm gonna shrink my part down a little, or shrink my print down a little bit. Excuse me. And we already got a new part here. The other thing is I'm gonna make this part in a way to where when I go into the isometric view, it matches up with that isometric view. Um, I can see this is the front view right here. This is the right view. This is the top view. So if I start out with making this plate and I sketch this plate on the right plane, or like when I say this plate, like this back part feature where the holes are at. If I start out with that guy, it'll all line up nice. So I'll go ahead and sketch. I'll go ahead and sketch on the right plane. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a rectangle and extrude it again to make that back plate. So first I'll go and start off with a rectangle. All right, so you'll notice right here, everything is blue because nothing is fully defined, right? And our goal is to fully define all of our sketches. So to do that, the first task is going to be to tie this thing to the origin. And like I said, I kind of want to put the origin in the middle of the part. So I'm going to put the origin in the middle of this rectangle, or I'm going to put it in the middle at the bottom because I think that'll be nicest. It really doesn't matter where you put it, but that's where I'm going to choose to put it. So I'm going to use a relation to do that. So I'll right click and select midpoint on this bottom line here. I'll hold down my shift key, click the origin while still holding down that shift key, and it'll let me add some relations. So here I'll go ahead and add a coincident relation, and that'll snap it to the origin. I could also go ahead and I just Control Z there to undo it. If I add a horizontal and a vertical relation, that will also snap it to the origin as well, because it'll make it horizontal and then vertical, and then it's crossed and it's touching. Like I said, always more than one way to skin a cat here. All right, now I gotta go to Smart Dimension, and I gotta add dimensions. Remember, guys, when we're doing dimensions here, always go line to line. We did draw a rectangle, so it doesn't matter. You could just, click this and drag it out here. But it's a better practice to click line and click line when you're doing your dimensions. And that's just, it makes sure that those lines are parallel, because if those lines weren't parallel for whatever reason, it'd give me an angle instead of a dimension. So that is the method to that madness. All right, and it looks like we're 80 high here. All right, and you see, since we got that relation in there, and we got those two dimensions, that rectangle is fully defined. Nothing moves. So if I delete this dimension here, you can see how it turns blue, and this dimension is allowed to fluctuate. But as soon as we add that dimension, it turns black and it says fully defined here. And that's what we're looking for. All right, so now we can go ahead and turn this sketch into a feature. So we'll go over into features and go extrude boss base. Oh, I made an oopsie. Well, technically it doesn't specify what units this part is in, but given how this part is, it is most likely in millimeters. So I started this in inch pound second. It needs to go to millimeters gram second. So I'm just going to click down here, go to millimeters. Then I'm going to go into my sketch here, and it's going to be way too big, but that's okay. I can change it. We are 92 wide. And to change it, all I do is double click on the dimension and enter in the new dimension. Looks like we're 80 tall. Boom. All right. Looks a little different, but that's to the correct scale. Again, honestly, this drawing doesn't say what dimension, what units it's using, so technically inches wouldn't be wrong. I'm just going off of my gut here and saying that it's in millimeters. But there's nothing that says any otherwise, so. All right, so it looks like this part is going to be 18 millimeters thick. It's this dimension right here. Oh, not 18 feet, 18 millimeters. There we go. All right. Check. All right. First step done. I just pressed Control 7 to go in that isometric view, by the way. Control 1 is front plane. So now I'm going to go and sketch on the front plane. And I'm going to kind of do this profile right here. And again, there's a lot of different ways to do this. This is just how I'm deciding to do it. It's how I think it's the easiest way to do it. So again, we're sketching on the front plane. We'll go into our line tool here and we'll start at the bottom. And all we're trying to do is lay out the lines, right? So I'll click a line there and I'll go over. Remember, when we're dropping lines down, we get those automatic relation. So right now it's given me, if it's yellow, it's going to add the relation. If it's white, it's not going to add the relation. Right now, when I'm dropping this line down, it's given me a yellow coincident relation as well as a yellow horizontal relation. So what that means is when I drop this line down, not only is it going to be horizontal, but that line is also going to be coincident with either, well, it'd be coincident with the origin is what it'd be coincident with. I'll go and drop that down. Then we'll go down at an angle. Doesn't really matter what the angle is. Just kind of draw it roughly to scale. We'll enter the dimensions later. I see a lot of people try to add dimensions right here as they're laying down lines. That's not a SolidWorks thing. Don't do it. I mean, you can, but you're just wasting your time. Reason being is it doesn't help define anything. Those dimensions are still, it still drops it in as blue, aka underdefined, aka you can move it around, aka it really doesn't mean anything until you add relations or smart dimensions to it. All right, so we go down, we go straight. All right, I'm gonna show you guys a trick here. So, so I have a line right here and I'm trying to make an arc, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drag my mouse back on the line. The line will turn orange, and then I'm gonna shoot it straight out the line, and that'll give me a tangent arc. So if you go this way, there's all sorts of different tangent arcs it'll give you, but if you go straight out, it'll give you a tangent arc. If you can't get this tool to work, feel free to use the tangent arc tool, or any arc tool, honestly. It'll all work. You'll just have to add your own relations. But this is how I'm going to do it because I think it's fast. All right, and you'll kind of see where I will give me that kind of 180 mark. It'll give me that angle, actually. That angle equals 180. But you'll notice that that relation is white, meaning that it's there. It's at that 180 mark, but it's not locked in place. It doesn't have that relation added yet. So we'll have to add it later. All right, and then we'll go straight off, and that's giving us a tangent and horizontal. Makes sense. We're at 180 degrees. It's going to shoot tangent off at horizontally. And then we'll give it a little bit of a lip, and then we'll go back into the part. And then we'll go drop it back down to make it a sketch region. I'm going to worry about this little triangle duder later. I think it'll be easier to do later. You could do it right now, but you'd have to trim it away later. So this is what we're dealing with now. So now all I'm doing is I got to fully define this sketch. So I got to grab the relations or grab the dimensions from this sketch or from the drawing and add it to my sketch. So first thing I'm going to do, just to make sure that these guys are going to maintain their line here, I'm just going to make these points vertical. By the way, real quick, if you go to View, Hide Show, Sketch Relations, that'll toggle your sketch relations on and off. Sometimes it gets to be a lot to look at and it's easy to turn it off, but sometimes you're troubleshooting stuff and you want to see what relations you have added. That's how you turn it on and off. So it's View, Hide Show, Sketch Relations. I'm gonna leave them off for now, just because so it's a little bit easier for me to look at. So right now everything's underdefined. I can move everything around all loosey-goosey, right? That's okay. We're gonna start adding dimensions. So again, here's this 18 down here. So here I'm gonna go point to, oh, well, I gotta go smart dimension first, but here I'll go from point to line. And that's gonna be what, 18. So here I can't go point to line, I gotta go point to point. Reason why I don't like going point to point is because it'll point to point, there is 3 different ways I can pull a dimension. I need to make sure that I'm pulling this horizontal component. So as long as you drop it down in the horizontal form, it's good, but sometimes that line's like barely not horizontal, which again is why I like to go line to point. But point to point's okay as well. You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Alrighty, let's see. This guy right here is 6 millimeters. Let's see, it looks like this 40 from this drawing view correlates to this 40 right here. Boom. All right. Let's see, it looks like it's 140 millimeters between the center of that circle and the back of that plate. Let's see what else here. You can kind of see as you define stuff, like what's still moving and how does it move, you know? So it looks like that radius of that circle is fluctuating quite a bit here. Also looks like there's another circle inside of that circle. So I'll go ahead and sketch that real quick. So again, just choose the circle tool, center point, radius. Now I'll go back in Smart Dimension. All right, and that inner circle has a diameter 36. And this outer circle has a diameter of 60. But I pull Smart Dimension on it and it's only pull a radius. So here there's a difference between Smart Dimension and ANSI standards, probably ISO as well. So basically for those standards, anything 180 degrees or more, you'll call out as a diameter, or you should call out as a diameter, but SolidWorks will call it out as a radius. So anything less than a complete circle, it'll just give you a radius. So I want to match the dimensions I see on here to the sketch. That way it's really easy to like troubleshoot, see if I get anything wrong. So what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to go and sketch another circle, and I'm going to go from the middle to that top point. And it should give me that coincident relation when I drop that point. Now I'm going to click on that circle and check this for construction box. So that way it doesn't interfere with my regions or anything like that, but the advantage of that is now I can smart dimension this circle and it'll give me a diameter. There we go. Alrighty. So now looks like we still got some blue here. So again, the strategy to this is just move it up and down, see what's moving, right? Looks like we got to figure out how high that circle needs to be. So then I got to come here and see what dimension is called out here, what dimension's missing, what do I need to add to lock this thing in place? And I am actually blinking for here for a second, so give me a second to look at this. Take these stupid glasses off for a second. Oh, here we go. It's this 40 right here. So this 40 right here correlates to the top of this part, which I believe is this ledge right here. There we go. Yep, that's what we were missing. Alrighty, so you see that 40 fully defined that sketch. And now it says fully defined right down here. And so we are all good to go to make this sketch into a feature. So we'll go extrude boss base. But for our end condition, we don't want to go blind. We actually want to go mid-plane. Mid-plane is going to keep us centered. And then as for how thick we want to take that, I think I'm going to go this 54 right here. It looks like the circle guide needs to come out a little more. It looks like some cuts need to be made. The center cut needs to be made. But for now, we'll go 54. And that's this dimension right here. Alrighty, starting to look pretty similar. So now let's see. Let's go ahead and what did I say I'd do next? I don't know. But we'll go and make this little 18 millimeter wide cut here. We'll go ahead and sketch on the front plane again. So again, right click on the front plane, click sketch. And see how I want to do this. I'm going to draw a line, go down here. I'm gonna teach you guys one of my favorite buttons. So here is convert entities. So for that, you just click convert entities, click whatever face you want to convert, and click check. So now we got a line and we got some converted entities. So from there, we only have one line that's not fully defined, which is this line, and it looks like that line is 24 millimeters from the middle right there. Ooh, that was pretty darn close. So that gives us our 24. Go features, extrude cut. And so here I made two regions, right? Because I did the convert entities. So when it says selected contours, I could do this contour and this contour, or just that contour, but you just select what you want to cut, right? In this case, I want to just do this contour over here. And again, we're going to use that mid-plane end condition again, and it's going to be 18 millimeters wide. You'll see the nice little preview right there. Should look a little something like that. And we'll go and accept it. Boom, there you go. We got a little cut in there. So that's what it should look like so far. Let's see what we want to do next now. Let's see here. Let's go and do that triangle piece. So I'll sketch on our front plane again, and we'll be wanting to do another mid-plane extrude, but this time all we got to do is make ourselves a little triangle. So again, we'll add a little triangle here, and notice how I'm making sure it's snapping to these edges with that coincident relationship. Here I got a coincident and a horizontal. Here I should have a coincident and a vertical. This time it's giving me a concentric, but 2 points concentric to each other, basically the same as coincident. And then you'll notice when you complete a region, a sketch region, it'll leave that region shaded. All right, so I could have done this a little bit more efficiently now that I'm looking at it. I could have brought these points all the way out to the corner. But you know, this will give us some extra practice adding some relations. So here I'm going to click this edge, I'm going to click this point, and I want this edge to be coincident with this point. So again, holding down shift, clicking this point, clicking this edge up here, and I want it to be coincident. So, and voila, just like that, we didn't even use any dimensions, but this sketch is now fully defined. Again, it's better to use relations than it is dimensions, because if you need to change this part, if you have it held together with relations, it will, if you have to move stuff around a little bit or change some dimensions, the relations will keep the part from breaking itself, because it'll just kind of change with the part. All right, another extrude boss base. Again, loving that mid-plane end condition. Let's see, it looks like we are going to be 12 wide this time. 12 millimeters wide, accept that. Boom, there we go. Alrighty, what's next? Let's go ahead and let's do that cut that's on this face right here. Let's actually see how that cut's dimensioned. So that cut looks like it is, where that cut is in that part, it's 18 millimeters thick. So to avoid having to do complex mathematics like simple addition and multiplication and division, I'm gonna do my best to avoid that, and we're gonna go ahead and sketch on that front plate again. All right, so again, we're gonna draw some lines here. I'm gonna go up, over, ooh, up, over, down to this point, and let's connect that sketch region. All right, so now we got this little quadrilateral here. But I want this side to be vertical. So I'm gonna click those 2 points while holding shift, give that a vertical relation. Alrighty, now it's just how high that guy needs to go. Go and do smart dimension. Because again, this is the only part that's blue, right? This is the only dimension that's changing. So I'll just do smart dimension, click on this line right here, go up to here. And according to the drawing, that is 12 millimeters. And we're all set. We are now fully defined. As said so down here, and everything's black. You can't move it. Good to go. So we'll go ahead and do a cut extrude here. All right, this guy's gonna be a little funky. So I'm only gonna be able to do the cut extrude on one side, but that's okay. We'll just go ahead and mirror that feature later. But there'll be some other features that we'll want to mirror as well, so it's all good. We're gonna actually want to do the end condition of through all. But for the from, we don't want to do this from the sketch plane. We want to do an offset. And that offset is going to be basically half of the thickness of what that is. So it's 18, so it's going to be 18 divided by 2. And you'll kind of see where that put it, and it's like, ooh, that's not where we want to do that. So I could do that and flip the offset, so that way it only cuts that way. I could also go ahead and flip it the other way and flip the direction of the cut and take the other side out. Because like I said, we're going to mirror it anyway, so it really doesn't matter which way you do it, but I'll just do it this way for now. And there you go. It'll cut it out just like that. That's what we're looking for. Alrighty. So next step, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna toss this hole, or a hole up here. A hole. Uh, so I'm just gonna put one of them in there because the reason being, I could just mirror it later when I mirror that other cut. So again, we'll drop a center line in. So under the line flyout, you got your center line. Go from the origin straight up top. Reason being is because we want to dimension across the center line, right? We want to be able to match the 60 that's on that drawing. That's the same 60 that we want to have on our sketch. So click the center here, click the line. If we're on one side, we'll get that distance, but if we go to the other side of the center line, it doubles that distance. So go and cross that center line, double the distance. 60 is going to be that dimension. And it looks like it is 64 millimeters from the bottom of the plate. Again, it's going to assume that we're going to reference that center line again. That's not the case. Press escape. It'll forget about the center line. Go to the center of that circle, and that is going to be 64. All right, only thing left to do now is to define that diameter. That diameter is going to be a diameter of 16. Boom. All right, features, extrude cut. And we'll just go through all. Could you technically go blind and go blind 54 millimeters or whatever? Sure, but say you needed to change this, the thickness of this block to 60 millimeters. Well, now all of a sudden that blind 54 millimeter cut doesn't go all the way through, and you want it to go all the way through. So it's easy just to say through all. Alrighty. Next, let's see. Next, I'm gonna do these like little extensions on this little ring here. So this drawing dimensions it kind of funky. So you see how it has this 24 right here? It's like it's basically saying this dimension right here, or with the donut, is 24, but it's only 6 off from the side here. So the way that those numbers stack up, they are symmetrical. So I could technically just extrude one donut and mirror it over when I mirror all the other features, but I want my drawing to match, I want my part to match the drawing. So I'm going to go through a little extra effort here just to make sure that my part matches, the print. So I'm going to sketch on this face here. In fact, I'm gonna even make this cooler. I'm gonna go and pull a section view on this thing. So I'm gonna pull it on the front plane, or on this face actually is where I'm gonna pull it from. Again, you could select whatever you want right here, and it's this little like half cylinder right here. So because I have that face selected, it's automatically gonna think I'm going there, and that is what I want to do. Now I'm gonna hold down Control and press 8. That is gonna bring me normal to whatever surface I'm sketching on or whatever face I've selected, and now we're in business. So I'm gonna go ahead and click. Yeah, let's see here. I'm going to click that face, click Convert Entities. And then I'm gonna go ahead and click this this edge here. I'm gonna click Convert Entities again. Now I have that circle. Oh, I lied. I don't think I really like how I converted entities on this whole face right here because I really only need a little bit of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and trim it. So I press trim entities, I'm in power trim, and this thing is like a freaking lightsaber. So anything that this thing comes in contact with, oops, I didn't mean to do that, Control Z. Back to trim entities, anything this thing touches, it will destroy, but only to the next nearest line. One of my favorite tools to use. Anyways, so I got that guy going. Now I'm gonna start another circle at the middle of the little circle and I'm gonna bring it up to the top and I should get that coincident and that vertical relation. I'm gonna go and place that down. And I think that should be good to go. That is a good sketch. We are fully defined, so let's go ahead and make it into a feature. So let's go to features and extrude boss base. So again, because we did a mid plane last, that's what it wants us to do, but now we're going blind. Except I want to go blind back into the part. So this button right here will reverse the dimension or the direction of the feature. Go ahead and press that guy. And we are going to do that to a tune of 24 millimeters. So double click, type in 24, enter, boom. So we could actually check, see if it's symmetrical right now and just measure this real quick. Yep, so the normal distance between those two faces is 6 millimeters. So technically we could just mirror it, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna go ahead and extrude 6 millimeters off of that face. And it's not difficult. I'll show you guys all how to do it. So we'll go and sketch on this face. Actually, I should probably explain why I'm doing it so funky like this. Okay, so reason being is, as engineers, when you're making drawings, you only really want to put the you're putting all the critical dimensions on this drawing, right? So in my mind, whoever made this print, there's a reason why they put that 6 on there. There's a reason why they put that 24 in there. Those are the dimensions that determine how this part fits into where it needs to go, how it performs its function, right? So if there's any dimensions on this part that's going to change, it's going to be those numbers on that drawing. Those are going to be the dimensions that change. So to make it easy to change those dimensions, I'm going to build my part using those dimensions. That way they're easy to identify and easy to change. That's why I do it that way. That's why I encourage you guys to do that way. It's also easy to troubleshoot. If you get something wrong and you got to go back and figure out, okay, where I screw up. Okay, well, this number should be 24 and it's something different. Well, if you didn't do math in the first place to get those numbers, then it just makes it that much easier. You're just looking to match numbers. You're not looking to redo your math. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and do this side. Oh, I was already doing that side. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, so sketch on this face. I already made this sketch though. It's right here. So I'm gonna hold down shit. Oh, I'm gonna click this edge right here, convert entities. I'm gonna click this edge right here, click convert entities. Boom, there's my sketch. Um, again, right? No reason to reinvent the wheel on this. We already made the sketch, so just go and pull from that face. And you could copy the sketch. You could even use the sketch for 2 different features. I'm personally not a fan of that. But This is, again, just another way to do it. It's how I like to do it. I think it's easy enough to do, so. All right, so now extrude boss base. We are going to extrude this guy 6 millimeters out. Good to go. Alrighty. Now let's go ahead and do some mirror in action. So we'll click mirror. Mirror is a feature, not mirror entities as in Sketch. Again, I prefer mirroring things using features than sketches. It's just easier. All right, we're gonna mirror across our beloved front plane. And then for features, we're gonna do this cut right here, as well as this guy right here. And that is it. It's also easy. You could click on the feature itself, or if you're not having luck doing that, you could also go ahead and click it from the design tree. I think it's the design tree. Anyways, but you could select it from right here as well. If you click something you didn't like, you can just right click and click delete. But yeah, it'll give you a nice preview. I always like to do the partial preview. Accept those changes and boom, there you go. I like to save fillets for last. Fillets and chamfers I always like to save for last. They don't mirror very well. They don't pattern awesomely. So, and they also interfere with grabbing other dimensions. So I just save them for last. But just go into fillet here. Chamfer is right under fillet, but do fillet there. I also don't like doing sketch fillets if I can avoid it. Again, it's easier to do things as features. It's easier to edit features. Anyways, so I like to go with features. 16 is your radius, so you can go and apply that. If there were other radiuses you wanted to add, you could do that as well. But we'll accept those changes and there we go. There is your part. I'm gonna go ahead. This is how you'd edit your material if you wanted to give it a material. So you right click on material, edit material. Give it our favorite 6061 T6 aluminum alloy. Gives it a fun little texture. Then we'll go evaluate, mass properties. And here you could see the mass of the part. So I got 1102 grams. I made this part earlier today. I also got 1102 grams. So if you did this part right and you changed the material to 6061 T6 aluminum, you should be getting 1102 grams. If you're getting anything else, start checking your dimensions. You probably did something wrong or you didn't load in the material right or something like that. So anyways, go ahead and save if you haven't already. SolidWorks is notorious for crashing. Alrighty, so now the part is made, and that's what I got for you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Might not be the most fun of things, but hey, what's more fun than making parts, am I right? But hopefully you guys got something out of that. Like I said, there's a method to my madness. It does get a little mad sometimes, but really it's just about being careful making your stuff and putting in a little bit of extra effort to make it really easy to check your work and really easy to edit dimensions should you have to change them. Because, oh, by the way, when you guys are taking your certification exams, that's all you guys do. You guys just make these parts and then they change the dimensions up on you and you got to be able to change them and change them fast. And you got to make parts and you got to make parts that are accurate because you only have a 1% margin of error. So that's what I'm trying to set you guys up for. That's why I make parts the way I do. And yeah, hopefully you guys thought this was cool. Anyways, good luck, guys. Happy catting.